Hello and welcome to another jungle video, and in this one we are going to be taking a look at the ever-evolving jungle meta. In our last few gameplay breakdowns, we've looked at the early game dominance of a Rek'Sai and Elise. We looked at the invadey type gameplay you could have with a Nidalee, even a Graves if you wanted to. The whole concept of this video is to be jungle strong, get yourself fed, be the 1v9 carry, and you do that by being jungle smart. And you simply have to rely on what I'm calling jungle flow, understanding how the game works, where you need to be, and how to smoothly move around the map, maximize your jungle experience and objective focus, and end up 2 or 3 levels ahead of the enemy jungler no matter what. I guess you could call it the Graves way of playing, but other champions can do what he does. You will see them on your screen now, but the main point of this is to understand how to read and react to the map and make sure you are consistently farming and always doing something positive. And based loosely off of this, I do have a coaching fully in-depth, very must-watch for Diamond players looking to get to Master Tier or anyone looking to get to Diamond on my Virkayu gameplay channel. I'm uploading quite a few times a week, and that's why I'm putting my coaching sessions on YouTube instead of spamming this channel. Alright, with my self-promotion out of the way, let's begin. And so obviously we have a Graves. He will be going against a Nidalee, and the Nidalee will be doing the invading style we talked about in the last video. That's important because it shows you how you can be smart about your jungling to still manage to be equal and then get ahead even if you lose a lot early. Now, like the Nidalee in the previous invade video, she is starting on the blue buff. However, instead of timing an invade on the opposite buff, the Graves says, well, you know what, I will start on my blue buff so that we will be on opposite ends of the map. This gives him bottom side control and the potential to make plays around Dragon. However, the issue with this is that the Nidalee simply says, I will take your red, thank you very much. Hops on over and begins to do that. The Graves meanwhile is doing a full level 3 clear. If you are interested in a Graves video, I will be releasing a video with mobalytics on that very shortly, but nonetheless he is going for a typical full clear scoop, because he can do that. I mean, he can do anything. I'd honestly say Graves is going to be the best jungler in the game once Karthus gets nerfed next patch. Everyone rejoice! Now, as you see, Nidalee didn't just stop at the red buff. She took the Raptor, she took the large Krug, and then drives on by the bottom lane. The Graves clears his baby Raptor, saves it from the pain of remembering its family's death, and then heads on down to the bottom lane. Nidalee had showed he understood what was going on. It's a good way to cut her off. Now, we do like high elo games to explain these principles because they're done so well, but of course here we're using a pro gamer because even if they don't have the best mechanics on the champions, they don't understand all the things the one tricks do about them, they have the best ability to understand jungle flow, how to move around the map when things don't go well, and when to look for those advantages. In this case, he doesn't stick around bottom lane. None of his camps are up, only Nidalee's camps are up. He won't have lane prior, so he cannot contest her Grump or Wolves. Might as well go to the mid lane, drive by gank on the bird Azir. And while he does that, his bot lane commits Pepega, and the enemy Nidalee commits jungling and manages to grab a double kill for her team. And what this does for Graves is says, hey, you know what, now you have a window to vertical jungle. Take my Raptors, take my red. The Graves says thank you very much, knows he has scuttle side control, the auto attacks basically give him free CC removal. The Akali and his team have a good ward which reveal the Nidalee, but you know she's on that crab, you know she's gonna try and impact the map again. There's no point for her to head to her red, that's gone. There's no point for Graves to head to his Raptors and Krugs, those are down. And so the Graves understands that the next forceful act will have to be in the mid lane. The Nidalee might even think that the Graves is headed to the Krugs. The Nidalee doesn't jungle smart, doesn't understand the jungle flow. The Graves is right there for the counter gank. Akali, him, they flash, Azir flashes. Azir gets spit roasted, the Nidalee gets chased down by a great roam from the Bard. Remember, Bard is a roamer, he needs to get his meeps, he needs to sing toss a coin to a Witcher. The Nidalee should have expected such a play if she was being so aggressive. Jungle flow, ladies and gentlemen, and if that bird in the mid lane wasn't enough, the Raptors have respawned from Galio's fried chicken, second tier experience, very juicy fresh, and now we can head back to base. However, you do need to understand the concept of camp sequencing and quadrant clearing. Something like a Guru and something like myself, I like to clear in quadrants. Going down to the Krugs and getting that would have been very good. Obviously, we know the Nidalee took the big one. The camp didn't reset, and our Graves will leave that on the map at tier 1. Not really the best outcome, but we'll see how it plays into his next judgments. Now, Nidalee made the right read. She saw the Graves go down to the Raptors before going back to base. This means she knows the Graves will be going to the top side, trying to get second tier Grump and second tier Wolves. In turn, she can take the opportunity to reverse the field, get her Grump, and then righteously secure a Fire Dragon. Nice haul. Understanding the flow of the Graves pathing gave her that objective. Unfortunately, as you see for the Graves, the set had roamed down from the top lane, understood this as well, hit the plant which showed the Graves. This forces Graves to give up his second tier Grump. Remember, the glory of the experience in the jungle is situated in the outer camps, the Grump and the Krugs. He currently has a tier 1 Krug on the bottom lane, wandering aimlessly, and a fat Grump that now has to be left because he could risk going to take it, but the set might be trapping him. As such, understands the read, he won't be able to have a nice good camp sequence here, but you need to take what you can, read the situation, and then move on to the next focus. Sadly, his raptors aren't up. He didn't clear the Krugs, which means those are still not respawned. He actually resets the camp, and now we'll say basically, okay, Nidalee, you're going to go topside because you showed yourself on the bottom side taking that dragon. I might as well go and attempt a gank on the bottom lane. Unfortunately, they are not able to get anything really out of the gank. Aphelios is a champion that exists. Same goes for Nautilus. Exhaust is used, and then Nidalee did a great job reading that and then ganking from the top side of mid lane, and with Azir is able to pick up a kill on the Akali. Graves now needs to react to this, isn't able to stick on the bottom lane. He can't go counter jungle because he will be collapsed upon. Goes back into his jungle, waits a few seconds, and then eats the raptor camp. That's tier 3 now, so it's a very valuable experience. However, here's the issue I take with it. You could simply go down, take your red, and then reset. The problem is the Nidalee will be on the scuttle crab on the top side. You can't do anything about that. However, you can try and sneak your blue away before she collapses. However, remember that nice set roam? Yeah, he left a control ward behind. So yes, the annoyance doesn't end for the Graves. Azir and Nidalee both collapse. He eases away from the spear, manages to avoid that 9 ping on Korea, very nice, and basically just has to back off. Now fortunately, they just take the blue and leave. He's able to secure that Grump by pulling it up, but I would like to see a bit more cohesion to the flow. He understands the game state, he understands where his next objective is going to be, but he's been forced to deny his own cap sequencing and quadrant clearing, which means while he has kept up equal farm, he's had good impact. Remember, you still need good impact in the early game, even if it's a drive-by gank on the mid lane. A little bit of pressure, a counter gank, that's all you're looking for, not AFK farm. But he goes back to base and he isn't able to finish Warrior. I would have loved to see him finish Grump, finish Wolves. However, even though he wouldn't have had the goal to finish Warrior in this case, I simply like the concept of camp sequencing the quadrant. It's much better for XP resets. Nevertheless, he heads to the red buff, and now you know the Nidalee has total Herald control. She's going to try and start to push this. She needs to win. She will be outscaled by the Graves. It's not like she's got stonks of Magi stacks at the moment. And the Graves understands this, so despite the showing off nature of how he tries to get the Nautilus, I don't really agree with using her ult there. Because she secures the Herald, he's able to take Grump, able to take blue, go back and take his Raptors, go down and take his Krugs. The next time he will need his ult, it will be up again, and he had crucial experience takes away from the Nidalee. Now is when the farming and the map reads start to come into play. All the early game things he did, giving up camps, focusing on the camps he could take, reading the map perfectly, is going to be the catalyst for his victory. Or maybe not, let's find out. Now he goes back to bases, nothing on the bottom side, the dragon spawning soon. He goes on a little adventure to see if he can counter jungle, nothing up, now falls back into his own jungle, but because the Singed is basically being a Singed, Set has taken the top lane tower with the Nidalee and the Herald. As soon as the Set disappears into darkness, he doesn't waste time trying to take the Grump. He thinks if Set collapses, if it's warded, I'm doomed. I might as well ignore that Grump, take the Wolves, and then collapse on the dragon. We won't be able to contest it or to secure it simply because of the nature of the game. However, we can have a huge momentum shift. Because of the fact that he cut from the Wolves straight down to the bottom lane, the red team doesn't really expect him to be in the vicinity so soon. Definitely a messy skirmish, but they're able to kill the Nautilus and the Nidalee. And basically now your jungle strong button needs to go off. Shove the wave, look for towers, look to counter jungle, look to invade. You are in control now, not the Nidalee. Her time is over. First off, fall back from that push, don't overcommit, please do not overstay laners, junglers, this is where you throw. I'm gonna do another video on the gameplay channel for this because it's really tilting me when I see it. But push just enough, get a few plates, fall back, take your Krugs, take your Raptors, reset. Now you know because Nidalee shot on the top side, because top lane is basically inting, Set will have taken your Grump and your Wolves. No point even heading there whatsoever. As such, head to where you know it's safe. Don't head to the blind, don't head to the darkness, there's no point. Hover the mid lane where everyone's grouping, use an overcommit to get your ultimate off, secure a kill on the Nidalee. And now what we need to do is investigate. Yes, ideally she's down, you have mid prior, you can look to invade the Raptors, look to invade the Krugs if you wanted. But for that you need the timers and you need to know when those camps are up, so the probing, the investigating here is actually solid. Remember, you want to get a dragon, you want to get the second Herald if possible. Giving up a Drake and a Herald early is absolutely fine, especially if you are a Graves and can read the map, get a lot of experience and farm yourself into contention, but you're not really looking to give away the soul. No camps? No problem, there's an open top lane, let me shove that into the tower, I can fall back down and take my Grump and Wolves. Set cuts you off, and the nice thing about Graves is even down on levels, with his kit, with whatever room page you have, phase rush or fleet footwork, you can actually handle yourself very, very well. You do get quite tanky with that E activated, you're able to defend yourself against the Set, you go to the Grump, once Nidalee gets arrogant and tries to invade, Akali is there, blow her up, punish that arrogance, and guess what, it will happen because they will think they're further ahead than they are in this kind of game. But you've been farming, your Graves, take your topside camps, head down, take your Raptors, take your red, don't take your Krugs, look to get that Scuttle Crab, look to invade the enemy jungle. You know the Nidalee's gonna try and head down as she wants to set up for the third dragon, very important for her team. But now there's a big Graves taking her Grump, taking the Scuttle, and he's in the way. When those side lanes are now ignored by your team because they're trying to ARAM and recoup some control, that's when you come in as Graves. That's when you come in with this jungle style, because you can shove those minion waves, take those towers, and handle yourself. You can now shove the Nidalee out of her own jungle. You're now 2 levels up despite losing a hell of a lot of your camps to the set as well as the Nidalee. You can observe the very messy fight that you bait the entire map into. Just by invading the Nidalee there, Graves forces both teams to collapse and commence the fight. As you can see, even at 125% speed, it's quite messy. Graves is able to survive because he's quite tanky. His lead is now profound. He can shove the mid lane and then secure that dragon. The Kali certainly has done a good job, especially off of the face of the Nidalee's pressure, but from the overall state of the game, you can see he is definitely the carry. Now, obviously, Graves has immensely diversified itemization. You could probably talk for hours about it, but he goes for the Umbral Glaive purely because of the Nidalee, and of course in high elo you want the utility of certain items over simply trying to be a hero. It's worth noting now you need to control as many camps as you can, but you also need to start punishing the enemy team for being out of position. Remember, you have no towers. They have all outer towers taken. They will now try and collapse the map upon you, increase their sphere of influence, and really punish you as you greedy for camps. You need to force them to rotate and to react. As such, head down, kill the Azir. You see the Nidalee on wards, you saw her rotate, position yourself in case she wants to collapse on a tower. She doesn't, she knows who the daddy is. And now I can really advise using the strategy what I call shadowing. When you have a laner, maybe they're fed, maybe they're not, they can split push and draw attention, and you don't want to reveal yourself, you can simply stay in the shadows of the jungle. Clear camps and counter jungle while the enemy's on the other side, just be there in case they collapse onto the Singed. And now because the enemy team of course took the Herald during that time, they have to activate it on the mid lane, you can flank, make sure you get a kill, stop the Herald push, and again reset. All you're doing is buying time, getting towers where you can, clearing camps close to the action so that you can react, be there for assist, get your damage output. In a Graves game where you had a bigger lead, you would be doing what we talked about in the invading video. At that stage, you are ahead, now you become the suffocator, you move into their jungle, but because you're Graves, you can do a lot more with your split pushing power. You have an Akali, you have a Singed, you can play around their pressure. As soon as they apply the pressure, someone else shows. If the enemy team is mispositioned, you take an advantage. This goes on for a while, don't forget to split push where you can, but because of the fact that the Graves had control of his inner camps, he shoved waves, he shadowed his team, he is still 2 levels up. He has Grievous Wounds, he has Quicksilver Sash. The only thing really left in this game is for them to finally have that explosive fight. Graves' positioning and sequencing and map reads and understanding the flow of the game has prevented the red team from being able to pull that trigger. And you can watch it unfold on your screen, simply making sure to take what is offered, getting the camps that you can, being very smart about your time. If you might die to Grump, don't do it, flow on down to the bottom side, get a counter gank, invade when the Nidalee's on the Herald. Simply look out for yourself, shatter your teams, and then you're gonna be able to shatter the dreams of the enemy team. That's a very bad rhyme, but nonetheless an ace and a free Baron. A lot of the last few minutes have been convoluted, have been stuck, have been delaying, but when you're behind, when you're in a game like this, when you were selfish and managed to get yourself fed simply by farming, simply by being in the right place when they don't expect you to be there, you can have that luxury to force the enemy team to stall. They are not able to take any more advantages, you just roadblock them until such time that you can actually win the fight. So in summary, make sure you understand your early game plan when a curveball is thrown at you. Remember to read and react appropriately. If you have darkness, if you understand the enemy might be in your jungle, simply take what you can, move on down to the next objective. The consistent idea here is flow. Never stop moving, keep on putting one foot in front of the other, immediately track and understand where the enemy jungler is, and do not waffle. No waffling allowed. When they take objectives, it's okay, make sure you take something from them that gives you experience leads yourself. If your lanes are winning, then that will translate to very easy objectives, also very free invades, and basically the enemy jungler should be down 3 to 4 levels on you. I'm not even kidding. If however your laners are behind, just make sure you take whatever camps you can get, be very smart about how you itemize, and by shoving those waves, shadowing your split pushes, and getting those outer towers, you will have that pressure release that finally allows you to win a team fight, get the crucial Baron, and then shove to win. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you were able to enjoy and learn something. Please do like, share, and comment if you did. Don't forget to check out the Virkayu gameplay channel. Subscribe to both of them if you wish for all the content coming soon. And as always, I will see you all in the next tutorial.